Welcome to the Director's Corner podcast, the definitive resource for forward-thinking professionals in end-of-life care industries. If you're looking to really shake up your digital marketing and connect with families in a way that really matters, well, you're in the right place. We're not just talking about the same old strategies. We're diving deep into creating authoritative content that builds genuine engagement and trust, which is what sets you apart in today's digital landscape. You know how so many digital marketers seem to, shoot and hope, just throwing everything at families online?
Yeah, I can feel that way sometimes.
Well, Director's Corner's sure shot. That targeted, content-driven approach seems like the authentic way to actually reach families online, to truly connect.
It really aims for that connection.
For years in the funeral industry, it felt like reputation and, what folks told each other was the main driver. That was the real foundation for business.
That's right. That long-standing reliance on tradition and word of mouth was just how things were done. It was ingrained.
So when the internet came along as this new way to market,
It was almost automatic for the industry to try and fit their existing ideas, their traditional methods, into this new online space.
exactly. That meant we saw a lot of online banner ads, pretty
Yeah.
basic websites,
Yeah.
really just taking the familiar image, the service list, and just sticking it on a screen.
Which led to what we now kind of see as old school digital marketing in this field. The big emphasis was on paid ads to get immediate attention, right? And these really broad, sort of untargeted email blasts.
Oh, the email blasts.
Yeah. The thinking was, let's just get our name out to as many people as possible, volume.
Right. Just blast the name out there fast, hope someone searching happens to see it, or maybe that a general email just hits at the perfect moment.
Those fast shots, as they were sometimes called,
Yeah.
those paid spots and those generic emails, maybe they had some effect early on, when the internet was less crowded.
But things have changed.
Oh, definitely. The online world has become so much more crowded, much more sophisticated since then. Those quick, fleeting views, they often just don't connect with families who are dealing with a significant loss. They miss the mark.
And that's the crucial point, isn't it? When families are facing the death of someone they love, they aren't really in a shopping mood.
Not at all.
They aren't just looking for a product. They need guidance. They need support. Yeah. And they're looking to connect with someone who understands what they're going through.
That's precisely where we're seeing this important shift. This move toward what's being called new content-driven digital marketing.
Okay.
It's turning out to be a much better way for funeral homes to really genuinely connect with families.
Some are still using those older methods, I suppose.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Change takes time. But others are definitely seeing the real value of a different approach.
So when we talk about content-driven digital marketing, what exactly does that mean in practice?
Well, it means actively creating helpful resources. Things like blog posts, videos, guides, content that directly addresses the needs and questions families actually have.
Got it. So let's maybe dig into what this old school digital marketing actually looked like day to day, just to contrast.
Okay, think about those broad, untargeted ads you'd see popping up pretty much everywhere online.
The banner ads again?
Exactly. Funeral homes were essentially buying digital billboards, hoping their message would somehow hit someone in need at precisely the right moment.
A bit like casting a huge net and hoping for one specific fish.
Precisely. It's like sending a general announcement to everyone and just hoping it connects with a very specific person in a very specific, difficult situation.
And then there are those generic email blasts you mentioned.
Right. Just mass emails sent to huge lists, often with no real thought about who is getting them or what they might actually need at that moment.
Impersonal.
Very. It lacked any personal touch and, honestly, often felt intrusive. Then you had the websites themselves. A lot of them were really just static online brochures.
Listing services, contact info.
Yeah, maybe some photos, but not really offering much in the way of genuine help or insight into what the funeral home stood for or, how they approached care. That whole online presence reflected this old school mentality.
And social media, how did that fit in, or did it?
Often it kind of got ignored, or it was just used for very basic impersonal posts like happy holidays or something.
Like not really engaging?
No, it wasn't about actually building a community or offering anything of real value to people online.
So these fast shots, this whole approach,
It didn't need a lot of upfront strategic thinking, really. The idea was simple. Get the name seen as much as possible.
but simple isn't always effective.
Exactly. As we said, even though it seemed easy, this way of doing things can be pretty expensive. And ultimately, not very good at making real connections with families who need support. It's just a low success rate strategy, fundamentally.
Okay, so what's the alternative then? This new content-driven approach, how does that work?
It's a much more thoughtful strategy, and it's definitely more long-term.
Okay.
Instead of trying for that quick win, that immediate click, it's about taking the time to aim carefully, to make sure that when your message does reach someone, it really hits home.
Hits home with their needs.
Yes, and offers real value, real help, not just a name.
And a big part of that you mentioned is becoming a genuine resource for people.
Exactly. That's key. This involves creating valuable content, things like blog posts that help people understand grief, maybe guides for planning arrangements ahead of time.
Practical stuff.
Very practical. Clear explanations of different service options, maybe frequently asked questions that address common concerns people have.
That makes sense.
This kind of content helps families when they're actively looking for information, often long before they have an immediate need. It builds trust. It shows the funeral home as a knowledgeable and supportive resource.
So it's really about shifting from just shouting at people, broadcasting, to actually having a conversation.
Yes, absolutely. Instead of those mass email blasts, the focus changes to more personalized communication, tailored to specific groups or needs.
How does that work?
It means giving information to people who have shown they're interested in the certain topics, maybe pre-planning or grief support. It makes them feel understood and cared for, not just like another name on a huge list.
And it's about showing the human side of the business too, I imagine.
Oh, absolutely. Sharing with real empathy and just being genuine is so important in this field.
Cool. What might that look like online?
Well, it could be introducing staff members on your website or social media, sharing the funeral home's core values, what drives them, offering comforting messages of remembrance. It's about making that human connection and showing the real compassion of the team behind the name.
It sounds like building an online community becomes important too then.
It does, yeah. Actually engaging with the local community online, sharing relevant local information, maybe joining in discussions respectfully, highlighting community events related to memory and support.
So you're part of the fabric.
Exactly. It helps build those connections and shows that the funeral home is an active and caring part of the community, not just a business that appears when there's a death.
So it's not just about throwing ads at everyone anymore. It's about giving helpful information to the right people, ideally at the right time.
Precisely. It's about using online channels strategically to share specific, helpful content with defined groups of people who are actually likely to find it useful.
Instead of just relying on those expensive, wide-reach paid ads or just, hoping a general message connects with someone randomly.
Right. It's a much more efficient and, frankly, more respectful way to engage.
And video seems to have a role to play here too, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Video can be incredibly powerful, especially for showing empathy and making the funeral home seem more approachable.
What kind of videos work well?
Things like virtual tours of the facilities can ease anxiety, introductions to team members, putting a face to the name, or even short, comforting messages. They can really change how a funeral home is perceived online, make it feel more human.
Okay, so let's try to sum this up. The old school way was, well, a lot of broad, untargeted ads.
Yep.
Those impersonal email blasts we talked about, pretty basic websites that didn't offer much.
Static brochures, basically.
Right, and kind of neglected social media. It felt like minimal strategy, potentially high cost, and not really creating those real necessary connections.
That's a good way to put it. Minimal upfront strategy, hoping for a wide net, and often missing the mark when it comes to that true connection families need.
And the new approach, the content-driven one, is all about being a resource center.
Providing value.
Having personalized communication, sharing with empathy, building community, targeting your information effectively.
Knowing your audience.
And using things like video to connect. It's really about building those relationships and that trust over time.
Exactly. It understands that choosing a funeral home is a really personal, significant decision, usually made during a very tough time. By offering value and support through content, funeral homes can become seen as trusted partners, not just service providers.
It really is like the difference between, say, that pushy salesperson just trying to make a quick sale,
Right.
and a caring friend who's offering real help and understanding when you need it.
That's a perfect way to look at it. One approach is all about a quick transaction. The other is about building a potentially lasting relationship based on trust and genuine support.
So while some might stick with those familiar fast shots, those old methods, it really sounds like today's online world demands something more.
It really
It
does.
needs that realness, that information, that genuine connection.
It does. And that's why this content marketing approach isn't just, some marketing trick. It's a more meaningful and ultimately a more effective way for funeral homes to truly help families when they need it most.
So instead of just spraying and praying online with your marketing, a more thoughtful, informative digital strategy makes sure that when your message does land, it actually resonates. It connects with families navigating some of life's hardest moments.
That's the goal, connection over clicks.
Makes you think, doesn't it? Are you aiming for just a fleeting impression, or are you building a lasting connection? Something to consider.
Subscribe and like the Director's Corner podcast on your favorite platform to stay ahead of the curve. By subscribing, you'll never miss an episode packed with actionable insights and innovative strategies designed specifically for your industry. Liking and sharing helps us reach more professionals like you, fostering a community dedicated to excellence in end-of-life care marketing. Let's transform how we connect with families together.